Eldred Gregory Peck was born on April 5, 1916, in La Jolla, California, a beachside area of San Diego that will always have a special place in Gregory Peck's heart. Gregory Peck finally speaks out about Charlton H. His early years were characterized by emotional turmoil. Gregory was raised mostly by his grandmother when his parents split when he was just 6 years old. He was raised with a strong sense of morality and discipline, which would eventually characterize his most famous movie performances as well as his real-life demeanor, despite the volatility of his early years. Peck first studied medicine at the University of California, Berkeley, then switched to San Diego State Teachers College after attending a Catholic military school. His participation in the university's theatrical company, however, ignited a passion for acting that permanently changed the trajectory of his life. After making his Broadway debut in 1942, Peck was already well known in Hollywood's heyday of film by the middle of the 1940s. Peck immediately established himself as a serious, sophisticated actor with his towering height, noble features, deep, powerful voice, and evident dignity. His characters frequently exhibited the calm fortitude and moral clarity that audiences yearned for in uncertain times, and he entered the film industry during a period when the globe was engulfed in the chaos of Globe War II. He received his first Academy Award nomination for his performance in The Keys of the Kingdom, 1944, a testament to the consistent quality he would contribute to the film industry over the ensuing 50 years. When Gregory Peck played Atticus Finch in the 1962 film adaptation of Harper Lee's Pulitzer Prize-winning novel To Kill a Mockingbird, it was his most well-known performance. In the segregated South, the character, a kind, morally upright small-town attorney who defends a black man falsely convicted of rape, would go on to become the archetypal moral compass of American film. Peck's performance, which was characterized by emotional gravity and quiet honesty, earned him the Academy Award for Best Actor and solidified his legacy in cinema. Atticus Finch evolved from a character to a cultural representation of fairness, compassion, and human decency. And according to Peck, he was most proud of that position. The fact that Finch was chosen the best film hero of the 20th century by the American Film Institute in 2003 speaks highly of both the character and Peck's compelling performance. Gregory Peck starred in a variety of films during his storied career, including epic historical dramas like The Guns of Navarone, 1961, and Captain Horatio Hornblower, 1951, romantic adventures like Roman Holiday, 1953, with Audrey Hepburn, and war dramas like 1200 High, 1949. The moral commitment he gave to each role was the only thing that could equal his flexibility as an actor. Peck frequently eschewed sensationalism in favor of roles that reflected his principles. His portraits were never merely theatrical productions. Rather, they were manifestations of a profound humanity that struck a chord with viewers everywhere. Gregory Peck was a longtime supporter of civil rights and a dedicated humanitarian in addition to his achievements to cinema. He was a member of President Lyndon B. Johnson's National Council on the Arts and a staunch advocate of Martin Luther King, Jr. In addition, he fearlessly stood up to the McCarthy-period anti-communist blacklisting when many in Hollywood were too scared to do so. He promoted worthy causes and spoke up for the dignity of people without a voice instead of using his reputation for personal gain. Peck received a great deal of well-earned praise. His charitable endeavors earned him the Jean Hersholt Humanitarian Award in 1968, and he was nominated for 5 Academy Awards for Best Actor. He came in at number 12 on the American Film Institute's 1999 ranking of the top male stars in vintage Hollywood films. One of the highest civilian awards in the U.S., the Presidential Medal of Freedom, was given to him in 1969 in recognition of his creative accomplishments, as well as his unwavering dedication to equality and social justice. Gregory Peck married Greta Kukkonen, a Finnish-American who was born in 1911 and lived until 2008, for the first time in October 1942. Their marriage, which came at the start of Peck's budding Hollywood career, was a significant turning point in his early adult life. Growing up as a Finnish immigrant, Greta was seen as a steady and encouraging companion in the early years when Peck was developing into a professional actor. The couple had 3 boys during their marriage, each of whom contributed in a different way to Peck's life narrative. Jonathan, their first son, was born in 1944. Stephen and Carrie Paul were born in 1946 and 1949, respectively. The family dynamic played a crucial role in Peck's off-screen life, with each kid symbolizing a distinct phase of his life and profession. Nevertheless, Gregory Peck and Greta's marriage ended after more than 10 years of union. An important chapter in Peck's life came to an end when they were formally divorced in December 1955. Due to the significant change in family dynamics, the couple's divorce was a turning point for both them and their kids. Unfortunately, on June 26, 1975, Peck's oldest son, Jonathan, was discovered dead in his house. His death was tragically interpreted by authorities as a suicide, which had a profound impact on Peck. When Peck reflected on this horrible loss, he once remarked, "It's the most terrible thing that has happened to me in my life," expressing the deep anguish that continued to consume him years after. "You never get over a thing like that," he said candidly, acknowledging the lingering effects of losing a kid. This points to the ongoing anguish that shaped his personal experience outside of his public character. While making the iconic picture Spellbound in 1945, Gregory Peck also had a brief but passionate romance with his co-star Ingrid Bergman during his first marriage. In a 1987 interview with Brad Darack of People magazine, this relationship, which had been kept mostly secret during his lifetime, was eventually made public. In his honest but respectful and restrained description of the affair, Peck said, "All I can say is that I had a real love for her, and I think that's where I ought to stop." He clarified that he and Bergman were both young and engrossed in the demands of their profession, adding, "We were involved for weeks in close and intense work," implying that the professional intimacy on set turned into a personal bond. Even though this connection was emotionally intense, Peck tended to present it as a childhood experience, suggesting that it was still a significant but restricted chapter in his life. Gregory Peck's love life took a new turn shortly after his divorce from Greta was formalized. Just one day after his first marriage's official dissolution, on New Year's Eve 1955, Peck wed Veronique Pisani, a 1932-born French newswoman who would become his longtime companion. They first met a few years prior, in 1952, when Peck was interviewed by Veronique prior to his departure for Italy to shoot the famous Roman holiday. The seeds of a connection that would grow over time were sown at this meeting. Peck's invitation to lunch 6 months after their initial meeting signaled the start of their intimate and unbreakable relationship. Their bond swiftly became stronger, based not just on affection, but also on a mutual comprehension of the pressures of public life and the entertainment sector. Gregory Peck and Veronique Pisani were parents to 2 children, Cecilia Peck, born in 1958, and Anthony Peck, born in 1956. Despite the various ups and downs of Peck's lengthy career, their decades-long marriage served as a monument to enduring love and collaboration. Peck was frequently said to have benefited from Veronique's calming influence, which helped him in both his personal and professional life. With Veronique by his side as his closest confidant, their dedication lasted until Peck's passing. Notably, the Peck family was linked to another aspect of American popular culture through their son Anthony Peck's previous marriage to supermodel Cheryl Tiegs. With grandkids from each of his marriages, Gregory Peck's family heritage continued to grow, continuing the tradition of one of Hollywood's most renowned performers. Among his descendants, Jonathan's son, Ethan Peck, his grandson, has continued the Peck family's artistic commitment throughout generations by pursuing a career as an actor, following in his grandfather's footsteps. The connection between Gregory Peck and Charlton Heston, two of Hollywood's most recognizable and respectable leading men, was a subject of much conjecture for many years. On cinema, these performers came to represent power, moral clarity, and a dominant presence. However, nothing was known about their personal and professional connection, even though they occasionally overlapped in the film industry and had comparable on-screen personas. At the height of their careers, Gregory Peck, who was renowned for his poise and tact, had never discussed Heston in public. However, in a rare and long-awaited occasion, Peck finally spoke up and shared his honest, incisive thoughts about the guy who had been both a contemporary and a contrast in many ways. Peck frequently identified with liberal causes and progressive ideas, such as fervent support for civil rights, gun control, and humanitarian work. He is best known for portraying morally upright characters like Atticus Finch in To Kill a Mockingbird. In contrast, Heston, who was a Democrat and civil rights advocate in the 1960s, gradually shifted to conservatism and became the president of the National Rifle Association. Particularly during politically sensitive decades like the 1970s and 1980s, when Hollywood was sharply split on a number of subjects, this ideological difference had given rise to reports of conflict or intellectual distancing between the two. When Peck did decide to talk about Charlton Heston, it was with his usual grace and nuance rather than with resentment or rage. Charlton was a man of great conviction. We didn't always see eye to eye, especially when it came to politics, but I always respected his sense of purpose and the sincerity with which he carried his beliefs, he said at the start of a 1990s interview when asked directly about their relationship. Although they were not personal friends, Peck explained, they frequently met at business gatherings, charity events, and academy ceremonies, and always greeted each other with professional deference. Heston's powerful presence on film was especially praised by Peck. There's no question Charlton had a unique kind of grandeur, Peck stated. When he stood before a camera, he became something larger than life. That's not something you can teach. He had it instinctively. Whether he was Moses parting the Red Sea or Ben-Hur thundering through a Roman arena, Peck acknowledged that he was impressed by Heston's commitment to historical epics and muscular roles, two genres that Heston helped establish in the 1950s and 1960s. He was open about their disagreements as well. We came from different schools of thought, Peck thought to himself. I was more drawn to interior characters, to moral struggles that unfolded in quiet moments. Charlton liked things big, grand themes, biblical stakes, dramatic gestures. But in the end, we were both doing the same thing, trying to honor the truth of the characters we played. Peck saw Heston's human side, which many people never saw, in what was arguably his most moving remark. Away from the spotlight, Charlton was intelligent, well-read, and deeply committed to his causes. You may not agree with all of them, I certainly didn't, but you couldn't question his integrity. That, to me, is worth something. Peck maintained his composure while discussing Heston as the years passed, and both men approached the end of their careers. Peck laughed when the subject came up again at a tribute ceremony in the late 1990s. Gregory Peck broke his silence to provide more than just his thoughts on a fellow actor. Well, Chuck and I were on different sides of the fence a few times, but we both loved movies. That was always our common ground. He exemplified the elegance and discernment that characterized his own legacy. He demonstrated that respect for one another can endure in a divided society, and that appreciation and disagreement may coexist. His remarks gave Charlton Heston's public persona a more contemplative and sympathetic dimension, shedding light on both Heston's personality and Gregory Peck's own calm, unwavering morality. Gregory Peck, one of the most revered and adored people in Hollywood history, passed away on June 12, 2003. Bronchopneumonia, a lung ailment that may be very harmful for the elderly, was the cause of his gentle death in his sleep at the age of 87. He passed away in his residence in Los Angeles, California, which served as the setting and the starting point for his illustrious career in television and movies. His loving wife, Veronique Pisani-Peck, a philanthropist and journalist of French descent, was by his side in his last moments. They were married in 1955. Mutual respect, intense love, and a dedication to humanitarian causes had characterized their nearly 50 years of marriage. Her presence by his side was a monument to the calm, dignified love that had characterized their life together, as well as a moving sign of their continuing link. Gregory Peck was buried after his death in a way that was appropriate for a man of his size, reputation, and influence on culture. His bones were interred in the mausoleum of the Cathedral of Our Lady of the Angels, the mother church of the Archdiocese of Los Angeles, and a stately contemporary Roman Catholic cathedral located in downtown Los Angeles. Although many famous people are laid to rest in the cathedral's crypt, few of them had Peck's moral gravity or film influence. His installation there emphasized both his high position as a moral compass in American cinema history and his Catholic religion.